All right, now another thing that we need to add here in our dashboard panel is actually categories, because each product needs to have a category. So I will create a separate navigation item here. So let's go to components, navigation, and let's see, here we have many different links, and I think I will just copy the products part, copy the products link. I will just rename it to categories, and I will change the icon. So I'll open back hero icons, and let's see, let's search for maybe a list, and I think we can just take this one, and I will just paste it here, and let's see, now it should work. Yeah, we have products and categories, but let's see, categories should have slash categories as a link, and it should be it should have active link class only if the path name includes categories. Yeah, and now let's see, if we go to categories, of course we get an 04 error because we didn't create the page yet. But let's do this now. Let's go to pages, new, let's do file, categories.js, and the same way we have with products. Let's see, we just need here layout, and that's basically it. So let's go to categories, and let's create a function here, export default function, categories. Let's add page here. I think we are doing this page in all other. Now we are just doing products, right? Let's just do then categories. Here let's do return, and here inside, as always, just layout, and it has been imported for me, so that's nice. And here maybe on the top, let's just do categories like this, and now we have our categories page. And now the first form, the first thing we need is a form to create a new category. So I guess we can just have an input. So let's say input, it will be a text, and let's say that we'll have a placeholder, but inside placeholder we will have just category name. Yeah, something like this. Would be maybe nicer to have also a label like here. So let me quickly check here, product form, and we just have a label, and that's it. So let's do this, categories, and let's add label here, but under this h1, and we don't need this HTML4. Let's do just label, category name. Yes, let's go to categories, maybe just new category name. Yeah, and we need a save button, maybe next to our input here on the right side. So I will just do a div with class name flex, and let's put this input here, and a button that will just do save. Yeah, so we have our button, but on our button we need to add some class names. Let's add our button primary class name that we created before. So we have a big button here. Let's add a small gap of 1 here, and let's fix the padding on our button, padding on the top and the bottom to be just 1. Right, looks like this didn't change anything. Let's see our button here. Okay, now our button looks really weird, but I guess it's because our input has a margin bottom here. So let's remove this. On our input, let's do class name, and let's do margin bottom of 0. Okay, now our input is the same height as the button, so that's fine. Let's put our form in actually a form tag, So it will be easier to add on submit here. And the button will be type of submit here, just in case. And we can of course just do like this, submit. It doesn't really matter, but we need to add here on submit. It just will have a function called save category, and let's add it here, function save category, just an empty function for now. And now if we want to save a new category, we just need a name from here. So let's add first state for our input, because as you can see inside our input we don't have any state. So let's do this. So let's do const name and set name equals use state, and default will be empty string. Now for our input we will just need to add value name, and well, I can put those into separate lines so it will be easier to read. But otherwise we need also set on change. On change we will do event. With event we'll do set name of event target value. So now we have state that's updating and it's inside our name. And now when we click save or when we hit enter, this save category will run, and let's try to save our first category name. So the same way we did it with product form. As you can see, we are just doing Axios and put or post, and we will use post because it's for creating. And let's go back to categories and just do Axios, and let's do post to /API/categories, and then we need to put data. Let's just put our name here, and that's basically it. So now we can add a wait here and async here, because then it will be an async function. And then let's think, what do we want to do after it's created? Well, after it's created, maybe for now let's just remove the category name, so the input will be empty again. So let's do just set name to empty string, and that's it. Later we will also print all the categories here, and we will also refresh this list when we create a new category. But for now let's just create a category. So of course we need to first add this endpoint. So let's go to Pages API, and here let's do new file categories.js, and here inside just do export default function, and it will be handle as for all the API handlers, and as always we just get here request and response, right? And let's quickly check for the products. As you can see, we can just grab the method from the request, and then we just connect to the database. Right, so let's do the same thing here inside categories. Let's grab method from request method. So we can do this like this, or we can just put this method inside this curly brackets. Right, then if the method is actually a post, then what do we want to do? We want to create a new category. So let's grab the name that we are sending. So let's do const name equals request body. So we are grabbing name from request body, and then what? Then we want to create a category inside our database. So inside our models, we need to create a new model for categories. So let's do this. Let's do new file, and let's call this one just category.js. And first we need to create schema. So it's the const category schema equals a new schema. and it has been imported for me, so that's nice. And now let's put an object with schema. So the only thing that we need for now is just a name, and the name will be just a string, and that's it. We can actually just make it type string, and we can add that it's required just to be sure it's not empty, but that's basically it. Now we can define model same way we did with our product. Let's just do const and category equals, and first we need to check it if it's already defined inside models. Let's check if we have category here, category. Otherwise we will just call the model function with first param is the name of the model, so just category, and the second param is just the schema, so category schema. And that's it. We can now just export it like this, and now we can use it inside our categories API endpoint. So now let's import it. I will do category, and it has been imported for me. And now we want to just do create, and we want to create with our name. So we want to put a new category with just a name. We just have one property there, and we need to add a weight here, and I will also add async here because when we use a weight we need to add async on the parent function. And then this will actually just return a new category document from our database. So I will do like this, and I will just respond with this category document from the database. And now let's see if it works. So I'll put here test C for test category. I will open network to see how it works. I'll hit save, and this didn't work. Let's see why. I know why, because inside our categories page on submit we are running this function, but we forgot to grab event and do prevent default. And now let's try again. Test C2, save, and I think it worked. As you can see inside the response we get our category document from the database. So let's see. I will refresh here our database. Let's go to categories, and as you can see we have two categories here. So maybe I can just delete one of those, or maybe not. Let's maybe just display them both here underneath. So under the form, let's maybe just create a table with existing categories. So first let's add the T head, and the first row will be just a row with category name as a column name here. And we had some basic stylings for tables. So let's go to globals and let's see it. We have this called basic. So I will use it now. So back to categories, I will add here class name basic. Yeah, maybe even margin top of 2 from the top, maybe 4. Right, now I would like to fetch categories from the database and put them into state. So I want to do a Axios get request and just grab all the categories. So let's add this here inside categories. I want to check maybe somewhere here if the method is a get request. Then I want to grab all the categories from the database. But before we do this, I forgot about one thing here, and it's about Mongoose connection. So I will add Mongoose connect, and I will add a wait here. And it worked even without this Mongoose connect, but that's because only we were doing other requests at the same time. So if you're using a database in any function, you need to always add Mongoose Connect to connect to the database in case you are not connected. All right, but now back to our get. We want to just grab all the categories. So let's do response JSON, and here we just want to grab all the categories. So let's do category find without any params. But here we just need to add a weight, and that's basically it. And this should work. Now let's go back to our pages categories. And when this component mounts, we want to fetch all the categories. So for this, we are going to use effect. So do use effect. First param is an arrow function or just a function, and the second param is dependencies. We want this to run when this component mounts, so that's why our dependencies will be just an empty array. But here we will do Axios get /API /categories, and that's basically it. Then we will get result, and with this result, let's add an arrow function, and inside the result we have this data, and inside this data we should get the JSON with all the categories. So now let's put them inside our state. Maybe here categories, and set categories, use state, and let's say default will be empty array. And now here we can just do set categories, and let's put them inside. Right, now we should be able to list them here. So let's put tbody element here, and here let's map through our categories. So let's do if categories length is bigger than 0, and then let's do categories map, and here we want to do just category arrow, and I will put parentheses here, and here inside I will just put not a div but tr. Sorry, it should be tr, like this. If I make this window bigger, you can see how it looks like. So if we have categories with length bigger than 0, then we are doing categories.map, and with category we are just doing parentheses, and inside parentheses we are just doing tr, so table row, and we have one column with only category name. So let's do just category.name, and let's see. Looks like we are getting our categories here. So another thing we need to do is to able to actually edit and delete them. But before we do this, there's another thing that we need to add to our categories, and it's a parent category. So let's say we want to add a category called headset, or maybe just iPhone. Maybe let's start with phones, mobiles. Let's do mobiles. Let's save it. Yeah, and the first thing we want to refresh our table when we create new categories, because now I need to refresh manually to see mobiles. So let's fix this first. Here, where we create our categories, we are just setting the name to empty to clear this input, but we want also to run this. So the easiest thing will be just to remove this from here, and let's create a new function called fetch categories, and inside I will just paste it, and this should run here, fetch categories, and it should run also here underneath. So let's do fetch categories, right? And now I created mobiles, but let's say I want to also add iPhones, and I want iPhones to be actually the child category of mobiles. So the iPhones should go below mobiles. So the thing that we actually need is to have a select here drop down to select a parent category. And we need to add a select box somewhere here. So maybe between this input and this button. So let's do this here. Here we have our input. Here we have a button. Let's put a select box. And I will remove this name and ID. And the first default option, or maybe we shouldn't put options like this. Or maybe let's put options here. The first option will be no parent category. And let's say the value will be 0. So now we have no parent category, and the styling doesn't work here, but we can go to our global styling, and let's see, here we have input text area. Let's add select. So now it looks a little better. Let's also add it here. So select focus. Now, as you can see, this select got this margin bottom too as well. So I will go back to pages categories, and on our select, I will add class names as well. And it will be margin bottom 0. So it will have the same height here. Right, but now we need to add more options here. And here our options will be actually all the categories that we have here inside our list. So let's do, if we have categories, or maybe we can just copy paste what we have here. So let's put it here, but instead of TR, we will just put an option, and the option value will be category dot underscore ID, and here we'll put category dot name. Right, and it has been it's wrapping my code, but let's see. As you can see, we have everything here inside, and if I open this select here, we are getting those IDs, and the first has value of 0. Maybe we can just remove to make it empty, so the value will be empty. But now we need to have this as a value as well on our select. So let's put a state here for our, we have for name. Now we need to have a state for our parent category, and set parent category, use state, and the default will be just an empty string. And when we change, we need to add here value will be parent category, and I'll put it into different line. And here I will also add on change. We grab the event and we do set parent category with event target value. Right, now let's see if this works, if I can change it. Yes. But now when I hit save with a category name here and a selected parent category here, I need to have I need to send this parent category as well. So let's see, here we have save category. Let's add parent category here as well to our endpoint, and now we need to handle it inside our API categories. So let's see here, when we do a post request, we are grabbing name. Let's also grab parent category. Yes, and let's just put it here, parent category. And of course we need to add it inside our category model. So we can just put parent category here, or maybe because we know it's a category collection, maybe we can just call it parent. So the parent will be type of, well, the type here will be special because it will be another ID. So let's do mongoose types, and here we will do object ID. And let's say it's not required. Yeah, and that should be it. Now let's go back to API categories. And because we have it as a name parent, we need to do here parent colon parent category. I put this into separate lines like this, so it will be easier to read. And now I will try to add iPhones here, iPhones, as a child category of mobiles. And if I click save, we get iPhones, but let's see how it looks inside our database. I will refresh here to see our categories. And here we have iPhones, but without any parent category. Let's see inside network here. Here we posted a new category, but inside payload we have parent category with this ID. So let's see parent category. We get the ID. We set it as parent, maybe because we needed to restart our server. So let's restart here, and I will put maybe iPhones 2 as a parent. Here I will put iPhones 2, and it will be, the parent category will be mobiles. Let's hit save, and we have iPhones 2. Now I'll refresh, and let's see, here we have iPhones 2 and we have parent category. Right, so now let's print our parent category here inside our table. So let's go to pages categories, and here we have our table here. But if we just add a parent here, or maybe parent category, and we print category dot parent inside curly brackets, it will just show the ID. And the problem is we don't want to show just an ID. Instead, we want to grab the category of this ID, and we want to grab the name and display the name. So to do this, first I will go to category, our model, and here I would like to add a reference. So reference here will be actually what this ID is about, and this ID is just another category. So I will add this, and now let's go back to API categories, and here, as you can see, we are fetching all the categories, but instead of just doing find, I will also add populate, and I will add here parent, right? And now let's see if I refresh, here we are grabbing, let's see, all the categories. I'll make this a little bigger. Categories, we are fetching all the categories. We have a parent here. Let's see, parent as an ID. Maybe we need to restart the server once again to refresh the models. Now, if I refresh, as you can see, we have an error that the objects are not valid React child. And this is because now inside categories, inside parent, we don't have an ID that we can print. Instead, we get an object. So let's go back to our categories. And here where we printed just parent, we cannot print it anymore because now we need to, this is an object. So let's just print a name instead. So now I will just, to be sure, I will refresh. Looks like this can be undefined because for categories that don't have a parent, this will be undefined. So I will add a question mark here just to know if we have a parent, and maybe another question mark here. So let's see, and now we can see iPhones 2 has a parent category of mobiles. So that works really nice. And now actually we can add those buttons to edit and delete categories. So we can edit this to just iPhones and maybe delete this one and delete those two. All right, so let's create here an empty column. And here in column, we will create a button with class name button primary that we created before. And the first one will be here, edit. And the second will be delete. So the delete. And here I put a div here above with a class name of flex, and I can add gap 1 between those. Maybe it will be easier to just add margin margin right 1 on this button. Yes, so we'll also have some spacing here. All right, but now when I click, for example, on this button, I would like to edit this category. And we can put it into another page, the same way we did with products. But I think because this form will be only this small, maybe we can put the data here above. So let's do this. When I click on this button, I want to put the name here and the parent category here. And that's it. And maybe I will change new category name to something else. So here on this edit button, let's say that when we click on it, on click, we will run a function called, I will put arrow function here, and we'll run edit category, and I will put the ID of the category from our category that we are looping here. So it's the category that underscore ID. And that's it. Now we just need to add this function. Or maybe, you know what? Let's send the whole category. So we'll remove this. And I'll put this into separate line. Same with this. And maybe even this. Let's put it like this, so it will be easier to read. But basically, when we click on this edit button, we will run function edit category with the whole category object. So we will have all the data. So let's put this function here. That's the function edit category. We don't get the event here. We get a category object with all the data inside. And what do we want to do? First, let's maybe change this title here. So we have a new category name, but when we click on edit, we want to edit a category. So first, maybe we can put this into the state that now we are editing this category. So let's maybe put it here. I will put a state called, we can call it a category we are editing or something like this, but I want a simpler name. So I would just do edited category, and set edited category, something like this. And will be use state default, let's say will be null. Right, and now when we click on this edit here, I will set edited category to our category that we get as a param. And this way we can check if this is not empty, and we can change this title here. So here, let's put that if we have something inside, so let's do edited category. If we have something here that is kind of true, let's put a title of edit category. Otherwise, we will put back this new category name. Or maybe let's rename this one as well. To create new category. That's it. This now looks messy, but I will put those two separate lines. Maybe something like this. It will be easier to read. Now let's see if I click this edit, we have this edit category, but maybe let's add some more information here. Let's do edit category, and let's also add the category name. So let's do edit the category dot name, So now we have added category test C. Now we should propagate the name here and the parent here. So let's do this. Here we will do set name to our category name, and we will do set parent category to just our category dot parent category, or maybe not, it's just called parent inside our database. So let's do this. Now if I click test C, it doesn't have any parent category, so that's correct. Let's see if I click iPhones 2. Well, this changed to iPhones 2, but this is still no parent category. And that's kind of wrong. Let's see, here we have set parent category, so this should work. Yeah, I know what's the problem. We have a parent here, but parent can be actually an object. Instead, we should check if we have an underscore ID here instead. And this should work now. So I will refresh. If I edit test C, we don't have any parent category, but if I edit iPhones 2, it changes to iPhones 2, and here it changes to mobiles. So now it works. But now if I click save, we will run this save category, and this save category function, it always creates a new category. So it always runs this post request, and our post request always creates, here as you can see, creates a new category. Instead, I would like to see if we have something here inside, then I should know we should update the category and not create a new one. So first I will maybe put this into to make it prettier. And now here I can check if we have edited category in the state, then I know we are inside edit mode. If we are edit mode, we don't want to run this. We want to run this only if it's not edit mode. So let's put it inside an else here. But if we are inside edit mode, let's do await Axios, and let's do put request here to /API/categories. Yeah, and we want to send the same data, so I can just put an object like this. But to make things a little simpler, because the data here and here is the same, I can grab it here, and I can define it here above as data, and I will put it as an object here. This way I can just reuse this data here, and I can put this data here as well. Because it doesn't matter if we are updating or creating a new one, we are just grabbing information from this input and this select. Right, now we don't have this put handler inside our categories API. We can only handle post. So now let's maybe add a method equals put, so we can also update the category. So basically we are going to do the same thing that we are doing for creating, but we want to update. So instead of create, let's put update here, update one, because we want to update only one category. But we want to know what type of category, which one we want to update. And when we send a new name and a new parent, we don't know this. We know this, we need to have the ID of the category that we want to update. So back to categories. Here, as you can, back to categories here. Here we have the data, but we are sending only name and parent category, both to put and the post. But for put, we need also an ID that we have inside edited category. So to put ID here, I will do something like this. I will change this to ... data, and this way this will be just a copy of data. That's it. But we can also add a comma here, and we can add underscore ID to be edited category underscore ID. Yeah, this will work. But there's also, I can show you how it looks like. It looks like this. It would be just a copy of data, plus we will add a property of underscore ID to be edited category underscore ID. So we will put also the ID of the category that we clicked here or here. So we will get the data that we already fetched, the underscore ID. But there's, I guess, also easier way of adding this ID. Let's try with just data underscore ID, just edit a category underscore ID. And here we can just put back data. And I guess the result will be the same. Right, here we have test C, test C2. Maybe I will refresh and I will edit this one and I will change it to test C1. But let's go to our API categories. And here our put is exactly the same as post, but actually now we can also here grab underscore ID. And now when we have the ID of our category that we want to update, we need to put it inside our update one. So when we create, the only thing that we need to pass is an object of all the properties that we want to create a new document with. Here for update, first we want to specify an object of what do we want to update, and then the object of the data that we want to update with. So the first object will define how we can find this document inside our database, and the second param, the second object, will be the new data for this object, for this document. So we can find it by just checking that underscore ID is the underscore ID from our request, and then we just want to update both the name and the parent to be parent category. So let's check if this will work. I will just refresh just to be sure. I would edit this test C. I will add 1 here. I will try to save. And as you can see, we got test C1 here, but we are still in this edit mode of test C. And after we are done editing, after we saved a category, I would like to disable edit mode for the specific category. So here, after we updated a category, I will do set edited category back to null, so we can actually create new categories. So let's edit this one. I will add more ones, save, and now it went back to create new category. So that's good. Let's now change, for example, this one, and let's change parent category to maybe this one, test C 111. Let's see, hit save, and as you can see, it worked nice. If I refresh the page, we should get the same data, and yes, we do. So now the last part will be our delete button. So the delete button for products was a separate page, but now I think for categories we can make it a little simpler. Maybe we can just do a pop-out with confirmation, or maybe a confirmation here underneath, not as a separate page. So as you remember, if we go to products and we hit delete here, we have a separate page to confirm this deletion. Do you really want to delete? If we click no, it just goes back. If we click yes, it will delete the product and send us back to the table. For categories, we can make it simpler. If we click delete, we can have a pop-up with yes or no, or maybe pop-up here inside the table. And I think pop-up inside the table, a small are you sure will be enough. But I think it will be much prettier with like a pretty box or pop-up here that we can reuse. So that's why I'm going to open Yarn package repository here, and let's search for React Sweet Alert 2. Yes, this will work. So I will just yarn add this one. Let's do yarn add this one, and it's just a prettier form of confirmation. So we need to have a state for our sweet alert. So I'm going to put it on the top, or we can actually also use this as injected. So we don't need properties. Let's see, here they are showing us properties with properties, but here we can also use it as an injection. So we can just do sval and just do sval fire, and that's it. No state, no nothing. Or actually we have here with sval, but I guess this way will be simpler. So let's do this with sval. So I will copy this part, and here on the top I will just place it. And as you can see, we need to export our function here, but we want to export with sval. So let's add this part here, and I will open parenthesis here, and I need to close another parenthesis here on the bottom. Yes, but we need to get rid of these categories. We don't need this, and instead this with sval will be a function that we are calling. So we can remove this function thing here. So we have with sval, and well, maybe to make things simpler, I can put back our categories page somewhere at the top. So let's do function categories like this, and inside I would just put all this, and so we have our function categories, and it's just our component that we were exporting before, but now we are going to use it with sval, and we are going to export it the way they do this. So here we need to put parentheses, and here we need to grab this sval thing and a reference in case we need this. And here inside we can just use our categories as component, and this should work. So now let's see. Yes, it works. We don't have any errors, but now we can use this sval to fire alerts this way. So maybe I can just pass it. So let's do sval equals sval, so we can pass it back down to our categories, and here inside categories, our page, I can just grab it here, and let me use it when we click this delete button, and delete button is here. I put this into separate line, and now I will add on click, and I will put an arrow function here. Or maybe I will just create a delete category, and I will pass this category object to know what category we want to delete. Now I will go back to here. I'll create a function delete category, and as you remember, we pass this category object, and we have this all information here inside category, the ID and everything, and we have this sval that we can fire things with. So maybe let's first see if this will work. This hello world example. We are not deleting or anything. Let's see. If I click delete, we get this example hello world. But now we want to change some things. Here for title, let's put "Are you sure?" question mark, and for the text, I will put backticks. And do you want to delete and let's put here category name and question mark, and let's see. We don't need these handles to when it opened or when closed. We just want to handle the result of this confirmation. But it shouldn't be just okay. It should be a prompt. So I guess it's just a type of confirm. So I will refresh and let's see. No, it's not confirm. Maybe it should be prompt. No, it should be confirmed. Maybe we don't need to have delete, but instead we want to have a show cancel button to true. And let's see, cancel button. We have cancel button title. Let's say it will just say cancel. And let's see, we do have button labels, more button labels. Confirm button text. Confirm button text. Let's do this one. Confirm button text, and let's put it as yes, delete with exclamation mark. This should be title, show button, cancel button text, like this. So both of cancel button text and confirm button text. Now if I hit delete, we have yes, delete and cancel. But I would like to have this yes, delete on the right side. So there is a property called reverse buttons to true. And let's see now, if I refresh and hit delete, we have yes, delete. Would be nice maybe to make this yes, delete button red or something. So let's do confirm button color, and let's put some kind of red color here. So let's maybe do D55. So it will be this red, and let's see how it looks like. I think it looks fine. So now when we click it, it will run this function then with the result. So let's just do console log and let's print this result. I guess we don't need this catch part. And I will do inspect here to see console, and I will hit delete here. Yes, delete, and as you can see we get the result, and inside the result we have object of is confirmed, true, is denied, false, and value true. So we will only check if it's confirmed, because if I hit cancel we get another result with is confirmed false. So from the result, we just need to grab is confirmed and needs to be true. So let's do if result is confirmed, and if it's confirmed, then we want to delete our category. So basically, we just need to run Axios request, and let's put it as type delete. Let's go to /API/categories, and let's put some data object here. And the only data that we need here is the ID of the category we want to delete. And we can grab it from here, from category. So let's do underscore ID equals category dot underscore ID, and that's basically it. We can do this like this, or we can grab the underscore ID from category, and we can just put it here as a param. So but the problem here, as you can see, is that we get this warning and that the delete actually doesn't have any body. So if we can't send it as a body, let's see how we did this with products here. And with products, we are sending this inside the query. So let's send it as a query as well from our categories. So to send it as a query, we will just do question mark underscore ID equals, and we will just add the value underscore ID here, and that that's it. We will add a weight here, and then we need to mark the parent function here as async. And after we are done with deletion, we just want to refresh the table. This table, we want to see that it disappeared. So we will just run this fetch categories, and that's it. Now we need to handle this endpoint inside our API categories. So let's check here. If the method is delete, then we want to grab the underscore ID from the query. So let's do const underscore ID from request query. Yes, and with this underscore ID, we just want to delete things. So let's do category, and we want to do delete one, and we just want to delete one by this underscore ID. So the first param here is just an object about how we can find it, and we want to find it by checking that underscore ID is actually underscore ID. But because those two are the same, we can just do underscore ID. This is async function, so I'll do await, and after it's done, I would just do response to JSON with OK, and that's it. Now I will try to make this window bigger. Let's do inspect here, network, and let's maybe try to delete iPhones. I will click delete here. Or are you sure? Do you want to delete iPhones? Maybe I should add iPhones category. Yes, delete, and it's deleted, and it refetched categories. As you can see, we don't have iPhones anymore. We just have iPhones 2. So I can rename this one to iPhones, and it will be under mobiles. So that's perfect. Everything works. I can now delete this test C2. Yes, and I can delete this test 111. Yes, delete. And we have now only mobiles and iPhones, and iPhones is the child of mobiles. We can also add Android. That will be also a mobile under category. Let's hit save. Now we have Android, mobiles, iPhones, mobiles, and mobiles. So now we can create new categories, we can update existing ones, and we can delete them. So I guess we are now done with categories and products. But the last thing that we need inside products is actually to be able to assign a category here. So let's say that test 3.1 product is actually an iPhone or under mobile, so an Android phone. So now we should have a select here with to be able to select a category for this product. Right, but let's maybe start by creating a real product. So I will go to products, I will hit new product, and I want to add iPhone 14 Pro. And I will upload some images. I downloaded some iPhone images here, and I can only select one by one. So I will first upload them all. All right, and now I have all the images. I can maybe sell this iPhone for $1,200. And let's put maybe test iPhone description here, and let's hit save. So we have our iPhone 14 Pro here, and we should be able to change the position of the images. And now the only thing that we are missing here is to be able to add a category. So I think that we can put the category under this product name. So let's go to our product form, and let's see, I will make it a little bigger. And let's see, here we have photos, here we have product name. We need also a label and a select for category. So let's do label here, and it will just say category, category, and underneath we need to have a select, and the first option will be just empty value, and it will be uncategorized, in case of if the product doesn't have any category, and then it will be uncategorized. But then we need to list all the possible categories. But for now, we don't have any categories here inside our state. So we need to fetch it here as well. So let's see. Here we are definitely fetching information about this specific product. So let's see for use effect that we can reuse. Looks like we don't have any use effect here. Instead, we are passing information from the product page, edit product, to this product form. So let's see where this component is used. And it's used for new products, and for new product page, and for editing an existing product with an ID. So we can either put fetching categories for those two, or we can put it here in one place. I think it would be better to put it here in one place. That's why I will go maybe somewhere here, and I will add use effect. And as always, the first will be just an empty arrow function for now, and the second will be empty array, because we don't have any dependencies, because we want to run this function when this component mounts. Right, and what do we want to do? We want to do Axios get, and we want to run /API/categories, so we can grab all the categories we have inside our database. Then we get result, and it will run this arrow function with result, and with result data. Here inside the result data we have our JSON with categories. So we need to prepare state for this. So let's do categories, set categories, use state, default will be empty. Let's say it will be just empty array. And now here we can just do set categories like this, and that's it. So now we should be able to use these categories to list them as options inside our select. So let's put let's check if we have categories. The length of the categories is bigger than 0. Then let's do and let's do categories map, and this will be a function with specific category. Let's just short this down to C, and the parentheses here, and for each category, which will be C, we will just print an option, and the value will be just c._id, and here the label will be c.name. Right, so now we have uncategorized, but we have all categories here. All right, now we are printing all the possible options here, but we don't have any state for this select. And as you can see, we have it for title, description, and so on. And for the price, so let's just put another state for our category. So let's do category and set category, use state, and default will be let's say empty string. So it will so this empty string will match our empty string here for uncategorized as default. Right, so now we can use this category here down inside our select. Let's do value equals category, and on change we will just do with event, we will just do set category, and we will grab the new value from event target value. That's it. So now we should be able to change those. Yes. But now when we hit save with, for example, iPhones, we should send it as well to our API endpoint here inside save product. So let's do this. Here we are sending the data, but we also need to add category. And the category will be, of course, just the ID of the category, because we are setting this here from our option value. We are setting it back to a category, right? So we are sending category as an ID. Now we need to handle it inside API products. So let's go to pages, API products, and both for post and put. For post we are creating, for put we are updating. Here we need to grab category, and here we need to grab category as well. And what do we want to do with category here and here? We just want to pass it along with to create a new product or to update an existing product. And that's it. So now let's see if I refresh here, just to be sure, and I change this to mobiles. Let's not mobiles, to iPhones. If I click save, let's check the database for products, and the latest product should be iPhone 14 with we don't have any category here. And why is that? I think it's because we forgot to add it to our product model. So let's put it here. So category, and we want to define this property to be type of ID. So let's do mongoose types object ID, and we want to add reference as well. And the reference is just category, the name of the model. And that's it. Let's now try to save it again. iPhone 14 Pro. Let's change this to iPhones. Let's save. And let's refresh our database here for products. Let's scroll down here, and we don't have any category. I guess this is because we need to restart here our environment, our app. So I will refresh here, and let's go to iPhone 14 Pro, and let's change this to iPhones, save, database, refresh, products, and for iPhone 14 Pro, now we have a category. So that is really nice. But let's open it back, and as you can see, it's still uncategorized. And it is uncategorized because if we go to pages components product form, the default will be always for category. The default will be always empty string here. Instead, we should use, as we are doing with existing title, that we are grabbing from the properties here. So let's grab category, and let's just rename it to existing category. Or maybe we can name it assigned category. Yeah, and let's just put it as a default here for assigned category, or default, if in case this is empty or something, default will be empty string. Right. So now, as you can see, I saved and it changed this to iPhones. Let's check if something crashes for older products. No, it looks like everything just works. So now we can change categories. I can put it to Android, and if I edit, you can see it's Android. But I can put it back to iPhones as it should be. So everything now is fine. So now we are done with products. We can add the title, category. We can upload images, description, and price. And we can, of course, edit also those categories. Now, another thing I would like to have for our products is properties. So let's see here, we have an iPhone 14 Pro, but this is a black version. And let's say it's a version with 100 gigabytes of memory. So we should be able to put this information. And we can put this information here in the description. But the thing is, if we have a properties as a separate input somewhere here, maybe, then on the front of our store, we can be able to sort and filter the products we have. So let's, for example, say that inside all the mobile phones, we will have a memory property. And then when we open a mobile phones category inside our e-commerce store, we will have a filter. Okay, how much memory do you need for your phone? Or how big the camera should be, or something like this, the screen size. Or the color. Let's say this one will be black, and you can filter depending on the color. So I think we can go to categories then. And I think properties should be assigned to categories first. So let's say that when we open mobiles, we should see filters for price, of course, like for all the products, but also like color and maybe memory and yeah, the storage, something like this, and the color. So when we edit, when we click edit here on mobiles, we can only edit the name here of the category and what is the parent category. But the thing is that I would like to add more information here, more properties to this category. Let's say that mobiles will have also properties like color and storage and stuff like this. So I think we can go now to categories inside here, categories page. Let's see. And first, let's say that we want to have those properties here underneath. So let's first move this button here also under, and we will have like properties here in between. So here we have this form for editing properties. We have this save button here. As you can see, this form is flex. So we need to create another div that will be actually flex with gap 1. So we can move the input and the select inside. So let's move this select and input. Let's put them here. And we don't need this flex and gap 1 on the form part. Now the save is underneath. We can also remove this margin bottom 0 on the input and on the select. So we will have some spacing here. And now let's see. Now between this those two inputs and the save button, I would like to have properties here in between. So here under this main div, I will put another div. And first here I will put a label that will say, let's say, properties. Yes. And under I will have a div, or maybe first we need a button to add the new property. So let's add the button with a class name button secondary, and this button will say add new property. Yeah, we need to style this button, and so let's go to our global CSS. We can style it with just the classes here in the component, but I think we can reuse this button secondary later. So let's see, we have button default. Maybe we can use this one instead of secondary. Let's use button default. Okay, and we have something like this. Maybe we can just make it smaller. So let's do padding of on the top of and the bottom of 0. this doesn't change anything. So let's do text smaller. Yeah, now the button is smaller. So I think maybe we can maybe put it under this properties. So let's put properties, and let's make this as a block. Yeah, so we have this button underneath. And now for this div, let's also add margin bottom of at least 4, I guess. So we'll have some spacing, maybe 2 will be enough. Yeah, so we have this button, add new property. It doesn't do anything. I just add that it's type of button. Otherwise, it could just hit the save on our form here, and it would submit the category. So now it's type button, so it will not submit the form. And let's see. Now we will need on click event on this button. I will just put it into separate line so it will be easier to read. But now I will add on click. Sorry, it's not here. It's not this save button. It should be this one that we need on click. So I will put it maybe like this, and this one here. Let's do on click. And on click of this add new property, we want to put a property maybe here. So to create properties, we need to have a state for them. So let's scroll up here and let's see, we have categories. So let's add also here underneath properties, and let's do set properties, use state, and it will be empty array for now. Right, now we have error because we have this empty on click part here, and we need to define a function. Let's maybe call it add property. Yeah, now we need to create this function. So maybe here under delete category, let's do function add property. Yes. So now let's see. When we click this button, we need to create a new property. We need to put a new property here inside our properties. So let's do this. We will just do set properties. And remember, this is category properties, not properties that are inside React component, just category properties like color and stuff like this. And with this, we can just grab a previous value and run an arrow function like this. And we want to return all the previous properties. So we can make a copy like this. But we will also add an object of new property. And every property will have name, or maybe, yeah, let's call it name. And the name will be empty string, and then we will have also values, and values will be also an empty string, right? And now, if we have something inside properties, we should list it as maybe inputs here. So let's see. Here, under this button, I will put I will try to list the properties. So let's see. Let's do properties. Length is bigger than 0. Then we'll do end properties map. And for each property, we will do parentheses. And I will make it bigger so it will not wrap. And for each property, I will print a div. And inside each div will have this flex and gap, maybe 1, and inside each we will have an input for let's say property name, for example color, and another input will be for, let's say, values, comma separated. Yes, and that's it. Now let's see, if I click add new property, then we have property name, and we have values here. All right, so now we can click to add more properties, and this should work. Now we need to also be able to update them. And as you can see, the problem is here that we don't have any state for them yet. We don't have any values, and we need to add them. So values will be actually simple because we can just do value equal and property dot value. I think it was values. Yeah, values. And well, it should be here. Property values, and above should be name, property values, and above should be just a name. But I will put it also into separate lines so it will be easier to read. But the problem now will be with update function, because when we change text inside a specific input property name, we need to update properties, and we need to find in properties first which one we should update. So let's start here with property name. Let's add on change function, and well, here let's maybe add a function called update property name, or maybe let's call it better handle property name change, right? And I'll put it actually inside arrow function here, so we can pass the property as an object. But now I will put this function here, maybe somewhere at the top, as the function, and this handle property name change. And in the first param we'll have our property, right? But now if we are updating property, then we need to have also the new name, right? That we want to update this property to. So let's see, we need to pass also the new value. So from this event that we'll get here, let's also pass here event target value, right? But now the problem is that we will have the new name, and we know what is what's the property object that we want to update. So we will have the name, the old name, and the value. So let's say here we will have a test property and values like 1, 2, 3. And when we added this input, we will change it to test1. The new value, so this event target value, will be test1, and inside property we will have both the test, the old name, and the values. So we can just in this function we can just loop through all the properties, and we can find the one that has the name test. But the problem is, what if we have several properties with the same name? Then we don't know which one we should change to test1. Here we know because we see it's the first, but we don't know it inside this function. So to fix it, I will also pass the index here that we can grab. So I will put this into parentheses, and I think that the second param here that we can grab is actually index, and I'm going to pass it here as well. And now in this function, let's jump to this function, we will have different params here. We will have index, property, and new name. So let's do index, property, and new name. New name that we want to have for this property. And first I would just console log everything. So let's do index, property, and the new name. And so we can see if this works. I will open here my console, and I will edit, for example, this one, test. And let's see, we have index 2 because this is the third property. So, and the new name should be just t. Right, so we can update it. We can fix it. So let's see. We will do set properties, and we can just set properties with just an array of properties here, but it's better to use the previous value. So I will do arrow function here, and inside previous value we have all the properties. So now with these properties, we will create a clone of this array here with all the properties. So let's maybe call it props. Maybe props is not correct way to call it. So I will do properties equals, and I want to do a copy of this array. So I'll just do array dot 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 previous. And now I want to do properties and of our index that we have as a param, and I want to change the name. So let's do dot name equals new name. Yes, and here I will just return properties. Yes, and now let's see if this will work. Test 1 2 3. Yes, I can add it here. I can put test 3 2 1 here, and for now it works. I can edit this input. So now we need to have the same thing for values. So I will just copy this and paste here. Handle property values change, and here I will put new values, and here of course we need to change as well values, and of course new values, and that's it. Then we can use this function for our other input. So let's do on change, and with the event we will run handle property value change with the index of this property, so 0 1 or 2, and then we will pass the property and then the new value of this input. So let's do event here, event target value. So that should be it. Maybe I can put it into separate lines so it'll be easier to read, but then I need to put every property into separate line. So I don't know if this will help much, but yeah. Right, so now I should be able to edit those inputs as well. Yes, and they do work. So I can edit inputs, I can edit properties. I would like to add the margin bottom here on this button. So here I will do margin bottom of 2, and I want to be able to remove properties as well. So we have 2 inputs, but I will also add a small button that will have this class button default, I think it was, and it will just say remove. So we have this remove, and well, we don't have any space in between them, but this is because our inputs have margin bottom of 2, and I will remove it. Let's do class names, and let's do margin bottom of 0 here, and let's do the same thing for other input. And now for this each div, I will add margin bottom of 2, so we'll have margin bottom on the div and not on the input. Right, so now we should fix this remove button, right? So here on this button, I will put it maybe like this. I will add here on click, and it will just run a function called remove property, and we actually need only the index of this property that we want to remove. So here we'll have index 0, index 1, index 2. So let's create this function here above our return. Let's do function remove property, and we get the index, and we want to run set properties. We'll grab the previous values here, and inside this function, let's just do new properties. It will be just a copy of previous properties, But now from these properties, we want to remove the property of this index. So how we can do this? Well, the easiest way would be to just return new properties as they are. So we are returning all the properties, but here we will also add filter, and we will filter out the property that we don't want to have. So the first param here, we need to put it as a function, but first param here in this function will be the property itself, but the second will be actually a property index. So I will call it, maybe let's call it property index. And here, if we will return true, then it will, this filter will give back this property to this return. Otherwise, it will not. Maybe so it will be easier to understand. I will put it here, and instead I would just do here return new properties. Right, so new properties will have the copy of the previous properties, and then before returning to new properties, we'll filter them to check if the property index is the same as index to remove. Let's call it index to remove. So it should return true only if property index is different than index to remove. All right, that should be it. We can just skip this part, and we can actually just do return here. Right, so now let's see if this will work. I can see that add new property doesn't do anything anymore. Let's see, maybe because this is, yeah, we need to put it as an arrow function here. So now let's see, 1, 2, 3. Let's say, yeah, that we will have a color and a brand and maybe a size. And here we'll have red and blue, and brand size will be, let's say 14 and 12. But now we want to remove the size. Yeah, so it worked. Right, so I can remove those properties, and we get an error if we remove the last property. That is weird. So let's fix it. Let's see. We are getting 500 error. Oh, that was strange. Let's just refresh. Add new property. I will add the 3. I will click this one. Okay, so it tries to run categories endpoint post because we are removing properties. That's weird. Remove property. Okay, I think this is because we need to add here on this button that it's type of a button. Otherwise, it can try to send this form with our submit function here, save category, and we don't want to do this. Right, but when we click, for example, edit on this one, it should reload those properties as well. So, and maybe if we are editing a category, for example, Android or something, I will hide this table. So let's see, where do we have this table? This table is here. And if there is an category that we are editing, I think it's called edited category. And I would check that we don't have it. And then parentheses, and here inside, I will put our table. So let's grab this table and let's put it here inside. So now we don't have any because we are editing, but we should have also a cancel button here. So let's see here, we have properties. So underneath somewhere here we have save button, but I want to also have a cancel button in case we are editing a category. So if edited category, and then parentheses, another button here, and it will say just cancel, and it will have a class name of button default. Yes, I want to have some spacing between those, so I will put a div with class name flex and gap1, and I'll put both of those buttons here inside. And for this button that is cancel, I will add on click, and we will define this function here. On click, I just want to do set edited category to null. Yes, and this way, if I click cancel, I will also add type of button, just to be sure we will not save this form. If I click cancel, we see everything here. But the inputs are not cleared. So I will actually put this into parentheses, and I put it inside new line like this. Let's see, not here. I will put it enter here, and now I will do set edited category to null, set name to empty string, and set parent category to null, or maybe empty string. Yes. So now if I edit iPhones and I click cancel, it clears the form. All right. But now let's see if we can put some properties, right? So let's do test property, and let's put a property with color, and we'll have red and blue and maybe green. All right. What happens if we click save now? Let's scroll to our function that's saving our category. And let's see, we have this save category. But the problem here is that we don't have any properties that we send. So let's send along inside our data properties. And of course we need to fix so we can handle it inside the API categories. So let's go to API categories. And now let's see. For both post and put, we need to grab categories. Sorry, not categories, properties. And same here, properties. And the properties will be an array of objects, and each object will have a name and values, and both name and values will be strings. So first let's do this for a post. So we will just do properties to be properties, but this way we will have values as string with comma separated. Instead, I would like this values to be chopped to an array. So I can either do this here, or maybe I can send those properties already prepared. I think it would be better to send them prepared. So here I would just do properties. So we are going to save it as they are here. I will add them also to our category model. So let's do here properties. Properties will be type of, let's say, object. This should work. But it should be actually type of an array of objects, right? And I don't know if this array be here, or maybe it should be here. I think it should be here. It should be properties will be an array, and inside each it should be type of object. Let's try it like this. But first, before we will send this properties, we will not send them as they are here, because then each property will be an object of name and the values that are comma separated, and we don't want this. So here for our data, I'll put this into separate lines here, and for properties we will not send them as they are here from the state, and instead I will do properties, and I will run map function on it. And for each property, I want to return a new object with property name. So let's do name equals property name, but the values, I don't want to just do property values. I want to do property values, and I want to split them using comma, right? So let's see here. Maybe I will put those two into separate lines, so it will be easier to read. And now let's see. I will try to send it. Let's hit inspect here, network. I'll click save here, and let's see, it failed. Let's see the payload. And the payload looks fine. We have properties with name, color, and values, those. But we get an error. So let's see here inside the inside our console here for our server. Category validation failed. Right, let's see what's wrong with our category. Object failed for value, blah, blah, blah. Object ID failed for value, blah, blah. Right, let's see what was, it was a post request. I will close this error here. We have both the name and everything. And the error is cast the object ID failed for value, blah, blah, blah. Type string, path parent. Right, so let's go to our API categories. And it looks like it's failing because our parent category will be an empty string here. So I think we need to fix it for both put and post. And the best way to fix it will be just to check if the parent category is empty string, then we will just return undefined here. Otherwise, we'll just do parent category. Otherwise, parent category. Yes, and this should work, but it can be simplified. So let's say we'll just return here parent to be parent category, or if it's falsy, just undefined. So let's now do the same thing here. Yes, and now let's click save again. I will clear here, save, and looks like it worked. The one thing that didn't work, or we forgot about, is to clear these properties after we save. So let's go to pages categories, and after we save, we are resetting the name, and we should also reset the parent category to empty string, and we should also reset the properties to just empty array. And now it should work. Let's do categories. Let's go to products, back to categories. Let's do test P2, test properties 2 with mobiles as parent. I will put two new properties, property 1, property 2, and value 1, value 2, and here maybe value 2, value 3. Let's try to save it, and looks like it worked. Let's check it inside our database. Database, refresh, and categories. And let's see, here we have test P2. We have parent, but we don't have any properties. And I think this is because we need to restart our server here. So it will reload the models. So I can delete this one and delete test P2 as well. Yeah, and now let's try again. So we'll do test P, and parent will be, let's say, mobiles. I'll put property 1, property 2, and value 1, value 2, and here value 2, value 3. Let's hit save. Let's refresh our database to see if we have it. And we have properties, and each has the name and values as array. So this worked. Now let's see if we can edit them. If I click edit here, we don't have the properties that we added. So this is because here on the top, we have properties. Let's see what happens when we click the edit button. So we have edit category here. We are setting the edited category to this category, the name, parent category, but we are not setting our properties to category dot properties. So let's do this like this, and I will hit refresh here, and let's see if we edit test P. So it looks like it worked. Let's go back to products, categories, and test P. Looks like it just works. I will maybe add here a comma V4 and comma V5, and I will click save. And now we have a problem. And the problem is split is not a function. So I think that the underlying problem is, let me just refresh. If I click edit here, those are listed here as strings, but the properties that we are setting here are object. This is an array of objects where each object has a name as a string, but the values is not a string. It's just magically converted here. So we want to set it here back to strings, the values here. So I will do here map, and inside this map I will do that for each property. I want to maybe let's grab the name and values for each property, and we will return an object, a new object for each property, where the name will be the same as name, but the values, I forgot about the S, the values, we want to change the values. And if we are grabbing like this, I need to have another pair of parentheses here. But for values, the values will be an array. So we want to join each element by colon. Right, so now it didn't change anything here, it just still works. But now if we do comma V4, we should be able to save it. Yes, if I edit back, yes, we have this. And let me go to products, categories, edit this one. Yeah, everything works. All right, so this works now. And the thing is that after I click cancel, I want to clear the properties as well. So we have this cancel button somewhere here. Here we have the cancel button. I will add set properties to empty array here. Let's go to products, categories, test P, cancel. Yeah, everything works fine now. So now I can remove this test properties category, delete, yes. And now let's maybe add real properties. So let's say that for mobiles, I will click edit here. I will add at least 2 properties. Color will be the first one, and we will have black, red, blue, yellow, and well, that's it for now. And maybe brand. Brand will be, maybe not brand, but maybe we'll have storage. And for storage, storage will be with gigabytes. And for storage, we'll have 62, 128, and 512, and 1 terabyte. Something like this. And let's save it. And let's edit so we can see. Yeah, we still have it. So now when we go to products and we go to iPhone 14 Pro, it's under iPhones category, but the iPhones category, as you can see inside categories, is the child category of mobiles. So I want to do something like this, that when we are on products, iPhone 14, even if it's iPhones category, I want to get properties from both iPhones and mobiles, because iPhones is the child of mobiles. So let's go to our product form component that we have, and let's see here. We have all the categories here, so we can just loop through them and check if we have any properties inside. And we should just check for the categories that we have selected. All right, so the selected category is here, and it's just an ID. So this should be pretty simple. Let's scroll down to our return, and let's see. Here we have photos. So above the photos we have the select. So between the select we can check if we have categories. So if the categories information is loaded, I would check if categories length is bigger than 0, and we have a selected category, so just category. Then I would do parentheses and I will put a div here, and inside this div we will have properties. But I will here check also if we have inside this category, if we have properties with length bigger than 0 as well here. I'll put some spaces here, and let's see, it should look like this. Now we have a error here, and this is because some categories don't have any properties. So well, maybe we can just get rid of this, because we need to anyway just check both the category and the parent category. So I think I will just skip it here. Right, but now I want to get inside both the category that we selected and the parent category and grab all the properties that we need to fill for this product. So maybe I can prepare it here above the return. So let's say it will be const properties, yeah, just properties, and it will be an empty array. And now let's check if we have a category selected, and as you remember, this is just an ID. So then we will find this category inside categories using this category ID. So let's do categories. Let's check also if we have categories, right? Categories length is bigger than 0, and then category, right? And inside this category I want to find the by underscore ID, that underscore ID should be the same as category. So this is category ID that comes from this select, right? So here we are finding the category that is selected. So let's do a const category info, or maybe selected category info, and maybe I can just console log selected category info, so we can see that it actually works. And here we have, as you can see, object selected category info, and for now it's iPhones, but if I change it to mobiles, it will change to name mobiles and so on, and the properties inside. But if it's iPhones, we should also check for parent category, or for all categories we should check if we have parent. So let me scroll down here, And we need to check if the selected category, like for now it's iPhones, we need to check if it has a parent. And if it has a parent, we want to find it. So, and for parent, let's see where I can close properties. And here it's iPhones. I can see the parent, we have mobiles, and we have the ID of the parent. So let's do something like this. For this that we found, selected category, info, iPhones, I can find properties and I can see it's empty. But I can add them here to my array. Properties to fill, let's call it this way. And so let's do properties to fill, and I will add push. And I can push many items here. So let's do ... selected category info dot properties. Yes. And now let's maybe use it. So here under, let's do properties to fill. If it's bigger than 0, then we would just do map on it. Let's do end properties to fill map, and for each property, let's call just p parentheses, and for each I want to put a div, and let's for now just do property name. So now we don't see anything because we have properties only on mobiles, color and storage. But we should also, when we select iPhones, we should also get the parent from mobiles. So here underneath, let's check. While we have a selected category info parent ID, let's just maybe add question marks here. Then we should add more properties to fill. Let's do properties to fill push, and we should grab the properties from the parent. So let's do const parent, and we can find it by looping through the categories like this, and we can just check that the ID is the same as parent underscore ID. So let's put it here, and now we can push more properties. So let's do push, and push what properties from parent category, let's call it parent CAD properties. Yes, and now this can go wrong because it checks while we have a selected parent ID, and we have it all the time. So this is not good. Instead, we should check and maybe rename this to category info and change it to let. And now let's check that here category info, while category info has a parent with ID, then we should find this parent category, and then we should add parent category properties as well. But after we are done with this category info, we should change it to that category info will be actually this parent category. And now let's see. Now I will hit refresh here, and we get an error: selected category info is not defined. Let's see, it should be just category info. Yes, here. And now let's see. If I change to mobiles, we have color and storage, but for iPhones, we get nothing. And this is because I forgot about 3 dots here. Yeah, so now for both the iPhones and the mobiles, we have the same properties, but those properties, color and storage, are registered only on mobiles and not on the iPhones. So if I change to Android, we also have it. But if I change to uncategorized, we don't have any properties on uncategorized. So let's select iPhones, and let me explain how it works. Now, if we select iPhones, we go through this loop and we are checking if we have categories information, if it's length bigger than 0, so we have categories information, all the array of objects of all categories. And this category is the ID. Here we have the string of the ID of the selected category. So this is ID of iPhones. Right, then we go inside here. And then what we are doing, we are finding first the selected category, and we are assigning this to category info. So we are looping through the categories and we try to find the category where underscore ID is the same as our selected. So here we will have an object of information about iPhones category. So name, properties, and so on. Then we are just grabbing all the properties from this selected category, and we are pushing this to properties to fill our array here that we are defining. But this will work only for the properties that I assigned on the selected category and not on the parent categories. And here we have a magic while loop that we are checking. Okay, is selected category here, does it have any parent ID? And if it has a parent ID, then we know that this category has a parent. If we know that this category has a parent, then we are trying to find the information about it the same way we did it here. From categories array, we are assigning it to a parent category, and we are trying to see if it has any properties. If it has, we are adding these properties to our array properties to fill. Right, so this will add properties to fill with parent category properties. But in case, just in case, we are assigning this parent category to category info, and what it does is it runs this while loop again after we are done with our mobiles. The mobiles will become our parent category. We are grabbing properties like color and storage. We are putting them into properties to fill, but then we are assigning this mobiles category to category info, and we are running this while again, and we are checking, do mobiles category have any parent? No, mobiles doesn't have any parent, but just in case there is a deeper parent-child structure, we can check for infinite number of categories. So we can check. We can have like unlimited structure, and we will check for all the parent and the grandparent properties this way. So I guess you understand how it works. But now we are only listing the names and no values or no inputs. So here we are just listing the name. Instead, I will put this as a flex with a small gap of 1. And here we will have the name. And maybe let's put it into this name into a separate div. And I will put an input for both, as you can see, color and storage. So we can put what's the color or what's the storage. But it shouldn't be an input. It should be actually be a select. So we'll put select, and for each select we should have options here, and those options should come from our property values. So let's do property values. Let's do map, and for each value I would just call it v. I would do parentheses here, and I would just print an option with value to be just value, and here we would just put value as well. So now we can select colors and sizes. And But now we need to also have onChange here. And for each product, for each property, we should also have this product properties stayed somewhere here at the top. So let's see, we have category, and but we don't have any properties information here. So let's do const, and let's maybe call it product properties, and set product properties, use state, and default will be just an empty object for now. So now we have an error because we have this onChange that is empty. But let's say that onChange we will have an arrow function, and we will just run a function that will be called change product prop, right? Or maybe set product prop. And we want to just pass the property, maybe just property name, because that's all we need, and the value that we choose here. The value that we choose, we'll grab it from event, and we'll just do here event target value as a second param. I'll put it maybe like this, so it will be easier to read. And now we need to create this function where params will be property name and our value that we picked from the select. So let's do maybe here function, and let's do set a product property. The first is prop name, a second will be value. Right, and we want to only update this state. So let's grab this setter function. And well, what do we want to do? Let's grab the previous values in case there is anything. And let's do new product props equals just a copy of previous properties of this product. And then let's just do that new props of prop name will be this new value. And now let's just return new product props. And that's it. So now let's see. We have this select for category. Here we have select for props. But I need to add value on this select as well. And well, let's see. I'll put this here. But this doesn't look that good. I'll put this into new line. And yeah, maybe something like this. It's not perfect, but it works. Here we need to fix the value now because we have an error. And how we can know if we have any value here? We need to go to our product properties, and we need to check this product properties of index of this property name. So let's do property.name, right? So now we should be able to change those properties. Let's see, red, black, yes, it works. And as always, we had with this form, we need to now check when we are updating this product. Let's see, save product. We need to add to the data that we want also to send product properties. Yes. And now we need to go to API products, and we need to make sure that we are saving this. So let's see. Here we have post. We need to grab properties, product properties. Maybe let's pass it other way. I will put this like this, and put it into a separate line. And instead of putting this with this name, I will just do properties product properties. So this way I can grab it with just properties. Yes. And the same way we need to do this here for put. But let's focus on the post first. We have product properties here inside properties, and we just want to save it to our model. So let's see if this will work this way. We will just create a product with these properties. And let's do the same thing here, just colon, and let's put this data here. Now let's edit our product model. So we need to add the properties here. So the properties, and well, what's the properties should be? It should be an array. So let's put an array here, and here an object. And this will not be actually an array. This will be an object. So I will just put type of object, and that's it. Now let's see if we can save this iPhone with selected properties. It's black. Let's say it will be 128 gigabytes. Let's click save. And now I will check my database for products. And iPhone, we don't have any properties, but that's because we need to restart here. So let's see. Now it's restarted. Let's save our iPhone again. So I'll pick, yes, it's blank, 128, save. Let's go to data, products, and let's refresh. And the iPhone, we have properties, we have storage 128, but we don't have any color. I think we don't have any color because it didn't change anything here. So let's see, black, save, database, refresh. And inside products, we have our iPhone with properties, but we have now only the color. Okay, it looks like we forgot in our form to grab the old properties. Let's see, product form. Here we are grabbing the old ones. So let's do properties colon, and let's call them assigned properties. And we want to put them inside our state here, product properties. So let's do assigned properties, or in case it's empty, then we will do just empty object. Right, now let's click edit here, and let's change this to 128 and maybe this to yellow. Let's save it. If I go back, does it have yellow and 128? Yes, it does. Now I can do refresh, and let's see our product, iPhone 14 Pro, properties, yellow 128. So yes, it worked. So now we have products with properties. So now I can stop recording for a few minutes, and I can add some fake products and put prices, so we can have some more products to display on our store.